Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Easy Natural English with Liam. How are you all doing today? I hope that you're well. It's still a very difficult situation with the coronavirus at the moment, so a lot of us need to stay at home, which is why I thought this is a perfect time to introduce some good ways to study at home. Many of them are free as well, which is my favorite price. So I want to tell you about my own personal favorite app that I use all the time. My favorite application that I use to study Japanese. It really changed studying for me, really helps me to remember the things I'm learning. But I'm going to tell you about that later. Because it supports the other things I'm going to explain. So I'm going to tell you about some other resources, and then my favorite one will help to support those, will help you to learn more from the others. So I'll explain it at the end, because also it's the best one, so I want to save it. So listen all the way, okay. So yeah, the first I want to tell you about free resources for reading. So one that I use a lot with my students is Breaking News English. Breaking News English is a site where you can read the news in English, but it's a slightly easier version. And it's up-to-date news. That's the good thing. It's very recent news. So right now, if you look, you'll see a lot of articles about the coronavirus and other things that are happening now. And then when you click on the news, there are a few options, and the best option is 2-page mini lesson, and that will give you like a PDF version, and it's a nice, easy little news article you can read in English, and there's even some activities with the answers at the bottom, so you can do the activities as well. So yeah, very useful free website. Then another one that I just learnt about recently is called manybooks.net. And on manybooks.net, you can find many books, and they are free. They're all free. It's because they're quite old, and now they're old, they don't have kind of license anymore, and anybody can share them. So lots of them are classics, what we call classics, very famous books that people still read today. So a lot of native English speakers know these books. So if you read one of these classic books, yeah, you could easily have a conversation with an English speaker about these books. And there's, lots of famous ones, I'm sure like Pinocchio, Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, and one of my favorite books, Around the World in 80 Days. If Around the World in 80 Days, going around the world just in 80 days. The original language was French, but this website has the English version, and this book is very popular in the English-speaking world as well. If it's suitable for your level, I really recommend it, because when I read this book, I couldn't put it down. It's kind of adventure story, and I just kept reading, and I couldn't stop. So I recommend that one. But lots of free books on there, so take a look. If you want the easier ones, just select the children's books. And, they're not very simple baby books. They're just made for a kind of younger audience. So there's still a challenge, especially in a second language. But some good free practice. And you can read those on the website. Or if you have an e-reader, you can read it on there, like Kindle, for example. Okay, and next, listening practice. So, of course, I'm going to recommend my YouTube and my podcast. If you've been listening for a while, in my podcast and in my YouTube channel, I just talk to you with no script and no editing. so you can get used to the sound of natural English, which is very important when we're listening. Both of them are free. Because some resources made for people learning English are kind of too clear, too perfect, and they sound like robots. Like, hello, my name is Liam. I'm from England. And unfortunately, nobody speaks like that. That's nice and easy to understand, but if you listen to this and then you go to America or UK or Australia or somewhere else, you'll be very shocked when people speak in real English. So best to get used to real English, which is what I try and help you to do. So, and then, of course, there's lots of other great podcasts and great YouTube. Just search Learning English, and I'm sure you'll find many useful podcasts and YouTube channels. And then, okay, so for kind of things to watch, of course you can watch YouTube, but if you'd like to watch some movies or TV shows for learning English, then if you want something easier, I would recommend Disney movies or Pixar movies, these kind of animated family movies. So Disney has some streaming services now. Streaming service means a website where you can watch the Disney movies. The name depends on your country. Sometimes it's called Disney Deluxe. Sometimes it's called Disney Theater. Sometimes it's called Disney Plus. So it depends what country you're in, but if you search on the internet, you can find that. And then, you'll be able to watch Disney movies in English, which maybe you have seen them in, maybe you have seen in your own language before. So you already understand the story, and the English is a little bit easier than some more kind of adult movies. So Disney is good. And then Netflix. So Disney, the Disney service and Netflix, these ones you have to pay, of course. They're like a monthly subscription. Usually they give you first month for free. So if you really want just free study, you can watch it for 1 month for free, and then, don't join after that. But I use Netflix for studying Japanese every day, because with Netflix, the subtitle options are very flexible. So I like to watch things in Japanese with Japanese subtitles, and then, most of the time I turn them off. Sometimes I turn on Japanese subtitles. And if I really get stuck, maybe I can turn on the English subtitles for one moment. So it's very flexible. Amazon and other streaming services, sometimes the subtitles are not flexible. Maybe they only have one language option, but Netflix usually has many options. And I think it's good for studying. I'm not sponsored by Netflix. I'm not sponsored by any of these things I'm saying today, unfortunately. That would be nice. I think Netflix should sponsor me. I tell a lot of students to use Netflix. So Netflix, if you're listening, sponsor me. Come on, give me some money. I'm helping you a lot. What else? Other free ones. So to really help with pronunciation, Google pronunciation, very useful. If you have a long, difficult word, like for example, difficulty, and you're thinking, how do I pronounce this correctly? Just type difficulty, into Google search, type difficulty, Google pronunciation. And Google's pronunciation shows you the kind of phonetic spelling. So like the spelling of the pronunciation, and it shows you where to put the stress, which changes a lot in English. And then you can choose American or British pronunciation, and you can slow it down. It's a very handy function. It's very useful. So try that one.
Difficulty.
And then before I get to my favorite app that I mentioned earlier, of course, I want to suggest to you to take lessons with me online through Itoki. Of course, those aren't free because that's my job, but I think the price is quite reasonable. So if you check on Itoki, which is a great online learning platform where we can talk together through video chat, and we can have a one-to-one lesson, and then you get to practice your speaking. You can ask me any grammar problems that you have. Basically, because it's one-to-one, we can do any style of lesson that you like, really. And I usually do kind of slightly different lessons with all of my students. So take a look at the link below, and yeah, come find me. Take a trial lesson, and let's get chatting. So now I can tell you my favorite app. It's called Unki. Anki comes from Japanese. If you're Japanese, you'd know that already. But yeah, for my other listeners, it means memorization. So it's to help you to remember things. And Anki is a flashcard application. So all these other resources that I told you about, so the free books, the free listening, or the paid listening, or these other things I told you about, when you're listening and reading and you learn new vocabulary, if you really want to remember that vocabulary, then you can use Anki. So Unki is free on your computer. It's free on Android phones, but on iPhones you have to pay quite a lot of money for the app. So if you have an iPhone, just use it on your computer. And then if you really like it, perhaps you want to buy the app. But yeah, you try the free version first, which is free for everybody on your laptop. So Anki, you make a flashcard. And what happens is it shows you the flashcard on the first day 2 times. So if you have a new word and you type that in, and on the back of the card you put your answer, or like the meaning in your own language, or you can use English dictionary and put that if you really want to study hard. And it shows you 2 times the first day, and then the card will disappear. And then when you open the app tomorrow, that card will come back. And then if you push OK, I remember, that card will disappear. And then it will come back in 3 days, you see, and then it will come back in 1 week. So every time you see this card, the space gets bigger. So it's like 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. And every time the space gets longer. So this helps you take something from your short-term memory and put it in your long-term memory, where you will not forget it. Like I said, I use this for Japanese. Every day I open this app and I do my flashcards, and it's really, really, really helped my memory for Japanese vocabulary. When I was studying French, I didn't know about this app, and I used to just forget words. I'd learn a word and forget a word. I'm sure you know this feeling. You learn a new word and you just can't remember it. But with this app, it really, really helps me to remember. So I really recommend it for people who want to increase their vocabulary. And one thing I would suggest is when you take a new word, if it's from a book or a newspaper or listening, even this YouTube, when you take a new word, try to write the whole sentence on your flashcard. Because then you know the context, you know the real meaning, where this word came from, and you know the grammar that connects to it. For example, many students make a mistake with the word listen, and they say, I listen music. But that's no good. It's I listen to music. That's a simple example, but if you learnt the word in the first place in a sentence, if you learn I listen to music as a sentence, then you know the grammar already, you see, and you know how to use that word. So yeah, I really recommend putting the full sentence. That's what I do with Japanese, and it helps me. I remember where this word came from. So if I read the sentence, I remember, this came from the news. So this is kind of official, formal language. Or, this sentence came from a comic I was reading. So this is kind of slang or kind of very casual, kind of comic style speech. So it really helps you to understand the full meaning of a word. So yeah, I've talked a lot about Unki, but I think it's very useful. So give it a try. Anyway, thank you all for listening today. I hope these resources are useful to you while you're studying at home. yeah, please check the description below for links to all of the things I've talked about today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you back here next time.